Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sir Cypher here with Let's Play Wargame Airland Battle. This is actually a multiplayer game, Conquest. It's 2v2. I just joined a random game, and it just happened to be that the other two people in the game were goons, but I wasn't on the mumble, so I didn't know until, we recognized each other. So, I'm playing here in a 2v2 against two goons, and then also this random puppy. But very shortly into this, he leaves. The two packed players is Fox and Ogmeister, who the game type for this is actually the resources. The starting resources are set very low. I think it was like 400 starting resources. So you see here, I have a little tiny convoy here. But then this guy leaves, so I can get a couple more guys. And they asked me if I wanted to keep going, and I was like, screw it, let's do this. So I'm playing here with my NATO Conquest deck that I really like. That's just full of angry conscripts and Category C, Pre-1975. Now, because the resources are fairly low, and I'm only one person, I decided that instead of going both directions, because I didn't think I could concentrate in both directions, I decided to just go north here, and then once the front had sort of stabilized, then I could concentrate and take these points over here. Now, a couple people have asked about strategies and different things, and my biggest advice is at the start of a map, especially for Conquest, unless you're getting there unless all of your troops are in helicopters, you have to assume the enemy is going to get there before you. So you have to make your plans to that effect. So that's why pretty much always my first wave is conscripts. Because if the enemy's there first, then the conscripts will just, bog them down until the rest of my forces arrive. If you're in helicopters, you can assume that you'll at least get there at the same time as the enemy. So you have to have some way to kill their helicopters and to kill their infantry. Now, most of the time, they're not gonna beat you there. Or, you might get there first, but you need to plan ahead for that eventuality. You need to assume that the enemy is going to contest you if you're going for someplace in the middle. So, their two decks, I think they're both Soviet national decks. I'm seeing some units that I think only Soviet guys can get here for both of them. And we do actually have a fob, which is an interesting choice for this game because the starting points was so low. So I think it was only 400 starting points, and that's 100 taken out right there. But again, they pretty much pay for themselves over time because they carry so many wonderful supplies. Now, kind of ironically, we both had the opposite ideas here. I went north, and I was expecting to run into them, but it never happened because they went south here. So we both sort of agreed to disagree here. Because I've had a little bit more money at the beginning, I call him the Tomcat. The reason that I have the Tomcat in the Pre-1975 deck, and basically, in my opinion, why you have to have the Tomcat in a Pre-1975 deck, is that the only good AA you have is radar AA, because infrared missiles and stuff, the technology just wasn't quite there in 1975. So they all basically blow. So if you don't have Tomcats, the enemy can fly SEAD planes all day, every day, and pick off all of your radar AA, and there's nothing you can do about it, because your infrared AA can't shoot far enough to kill the SEAD planes. But if the Tomcat's flying around, any SEAD plane that tries to kill your stuff is going to get hit by the Tomcat. Now, over here we have MiG-31, which is the Soviet version of the Tomcat. Not really, I don't think it's actually a copy, but it fulfills the same role of long-range air combat. So here, the enemy's getting ensconced here in this city. We're tied for points for the moment, but their command vehicles are kind of getting into position, so they're going to move ahead here. I didn't notice the first two guys get hit by Conkers, but the rest of the guys jump out, and they start just marching their way towards the city. Now, the reservists don't have machine guns, but it's actually almost, I think, better, because then they don't stop to shoot at guys. They just keep walking until they get into bolt-action rifle range. You see here enemy fighters coming in to drop bombs, but my Tomcats can shoot missiles all the way over here. So stun that guy. didn't let him drop the bombs on my reservists. He's going to have to come around for another pass. And I think we even have another Tomcat coming out here too. So, Tomcat's killing stuff. That yak drops its bombs. Oh, this is napalm actually. But I think my Tomcats managed to chase it off. You see how long range these missiles are? On these Tomcats, they go quite far. They shoot all the way like across the map basically. The problem is that if an enemy dogfighter gets in range, it'll pretty much murder your Tomcats, but besides that, the Tomcats are pretty good. So I've kind of secured this area. I don't know why I had these guys get out, but it looks like the enemy is pretty strongly in position of this town. This guy's got pretty much the right idea here. You want to have the Motorstrelky and stuff in front, and then you have Conquerors and you have Recon. Now, I think a big part of this game, which a lot of people don't seem to get, is you don't want the stuff that's going to be doing the shooting to be getting shot at. Not only because it'll die, but also because it'll get panicked. So you want generally something like this, to have something like Motorstrelky here in the first line. So the Motorstrelky gets shot at, the BMPs, the BTRs, the Conquerors and stuff will actually do the killing. Even with really armored vehicles like tanks and stuff, you don't want the actual tanks that you're trying to kill stuff with getting shot at, because they're going to get panicked and then they're not going to hit anything. So that's generally what you do. In my situation, it's kind of obvious. I have conscripts, who are the things that I want to get shot at, and then behind them, you have all of the stuff that's actually going to do damage. So you have helicopters and stuff, we have ATGMs, all sorts of stuff that I'm actually planning to kill the enemy with. One thing here, they didn't quite cover this whole road here, so it looks like my trucks full of angry French conscripts managed to get pretty close to the town here. Have them get out. These guys got out a little too far away in order to walk up into this strong point. There's more and more conscripts coming up in here to sort of attack this town. Here we have the Akula, which is kind of wasted against my deck. It just shot one of its giant like harpoon missiles against the truck. The Akula, I think, has the most powerful anti-tank missiles in the game. I think it might be tied with the Super Entard. But it'll basically kill any NATO tank with one hit, and it's very long range. And it also has anti-air missiles. The problem is it's very expensive. It only has 2 missiles, and they cost a lot of supplies. So they're best used for sniping enemy tanks at long range, like really powerful ones, or enemy AA. But you can also actually use them as an anti-air chopper. Now again, it was on auto attack, so it kind of blew its load against my trucks. There. Here we have intruders, which is what I use for just like basic bombs in this deck. They just fire normal bombs. They're dropping bombs on all these guys as my reservists sort of slowly march closer. I'm not sure why the Akula is actually coming out here. I think it messed up. I think it didn't mean to do that. Now it's getting shot at by my my reservists with their bolt-action rifles that have like a machine gun animation. So more and more conscripts coming from everywhere, closing the noose here. Let these guys out of their trucks a little early, but I get a little paranoid when I see Conquerors because I'm afraid that they're just going to kill the trucks really far away. These conscripts get out a bit closer. They unload in the safety of this forest. I call in a Crusader to try and kill that helicopter. The Crusader was actually an American plane, but I think it was the French Navy maybe. They use them quite a bit as well. And it was the last sort of like dogfighter that the U.S. Air Force used. It was primarily designed to kill its opponent with guns. It has 4 guns and some AA missiles. So it's actually pretty good at killing helicopters. But the problem is that the enemy has all sorts of AA around here now. Which kind of limits its effectiveness. So you have the constant bomb drops by the Crusaders here. Or constant bomb drops by all my guys trying to push in here. Again, reservists do not have a machine gun, so it really they really have to get in close before they do anything. And you really need other stuff behind them to actually kind of do damage. But I have lots of intruders. That was a pretty good drop right there. Actually killed quite a few guys. As my guys sort of just keep on marching forward. Now the enemy is ahead in points, because they've basically taken every other point besides this one that we're fighting over. But I'm pretty determined. I'm pretty determined to get it. And I assume that they had all sorts of stuff up here and all sorts of stuff down here. It turns out they didn't, but, you know, I didn't know that at the time. So the swarms of reservists are slowly marching in on the city. The enemy's calling in planes, but I have Tomcats basically on 24/7 patrol. Although the enemy also has this MiG, which kind of wants everyone out, and then I'll get a shot off on my Tomcats. Might actually be able to kill one of them. But yeah, so, you know, it's having a long-distance duel over the battlefield while my troops sort of, my reservists just march in here. Now this right here is the Starship. It's the like sort of high-tech version of the American M60 Patton. It's kind of cool thing is it can shoot anti-tank guided missiles from the front gun, and it can fire a pretty good HE round. This is kind of the crappy version. There's a lot better version that has an autocannon on the roof instead of a machine gun, but that's you can't get that in a 1975 deck. So unfortunately, I do not have it. Over here, just dropping more bombs on all these BMPs with my intruders. This intruder, not sure why he's just lounging over the battlefield. Oh, he's going to go drop bombs on these guys. Probably going to get killed. The enemy has quite a few bucks here. He might make it out of there. Oh, no, he's dead. Oh, he made it. So still pushing through here. One of the problems with if you have a deck with lots of good infantry and good transports, like these two guys do with BMPs and Urals and stuff, is that if you're fighting a mixed force, it's obviously pretty good because the BMPs can support the infantry, they can take out tanks and stuff. But if you're fighting an army like this, you really just need more infantry. You need more infantry to throw into an area to stop all these reservists, and the BMPs are kind of useless compared to just more infantry. Because if you have like a decent squad of Motostrelki in a BMP, that's probably around 50 points, and that's 10 squads. That's like 10 squads of reservists, and it's just they'll run out of ammo before they can kill 10 squads of reservists and 10 trucks. We do have some infantry here and trucks, and that's kind of what you need if in sort of a spam situation like I'm doing. Here's the Su-24. It's the equivalent of the Raven. I'm not sure if it actually has killed any of my AA yet. Well, here's coming up my this radar AA. Oh, it's missed. Yeah, it's killed that radar AA. So, like I said, there's not really any good gun AA or non-radar AA you can get at this point. The best you can really get is radar and like some pretty crappy IR. So this Su-27 flies into my radar network and kills my Tomcat because it's a dogfighter, but it kind of pays the price, gets shot down while it's doing so. So still pushing here. Again, I probably should have branched off and gone to these other areas, but I was like very determined. I wanted to take this city, and I wasn't really that much at this point. I didn't think I could win, but I wanted to just take this city. So here, the Heavy Hog, firing grenades. The Aardvark here is the sort of like heavy American bomber. Not really heavy, but it's sort of the heaviest sort of tactical bomber that you have. It drops a pretty good stick of cluster bombs there. You said it. See how it took out those tanks. And again, and then we have the intruders with just normal bombs. Now you see here all these dots because all of my reservists have died, so I have to keep calling in more reservists in order to keep this gravy train rolling. and keep pushing into this city. VDV also are kind of interesting Soviet chores. I don't think they've really been shown so far when I've been playing the campaign, but their sort of primary cool thing is they have a rocket launcher that goes up to 875 meters. It actually doesn't have as much AP as the normal RPG that Motostrelky have, but 875 is pretty far. Tanks normally think they can approach infantry pretty closely and not get hit. So they're in for a nasty surprise. You see here most infantry anti-tank weapons are only 500 meter range. So you see here more and more conscripts flying in here. There's enemy helicopters and stuff over here, but I kind of snuck some chaparrals in here in the meantime, and some gun AA. So that's going to keep the enemy from just constantly murdering my stuff. You see here, have these Tomcats here. This Tomcat flew a little bit too close to enemy lines here. She shouldn't have done that. And you might actually get taken out by this enemy MiG-31 here. Oh, there goes my Tomcat. No! It is kind of funny with this whole sort of Tomcat thing, because basically how it works is that if both sides take things like F-14s, just whoever takes more of them wins the air fight, and whichever side takes more of them is basically just going to have air superiority. Now, it's kind of hard to take them, to get a lot of them in a anything but a pre-1975 deck, because there's normally you can only take one per card. But in pre-1975s, you get two per card, so you can have a whole bunch. So the reservists slowly marching in here. I'm not even telling them to get into buildings because it's just not worth it. I just want them to keep moving forward with that. Here we have more intruders here coming to drop bombs as the Tomcats keep flying overhead, sort of keeping their vigil. Now the enemy is ahead by 2 because they have every point besides my little area right here. And then here. One thing that is kind of good is if you're calling in a strike package, you never want to just call in one plane. Because the more planes you call in, sort of, it might be kind of counterintuitive, but the more planes you call in, the less likely any one plane is going to get shot down. Because if you call in one plane, everything's just going to shoot at that one plane. So, you know, it's going to get hit by like 7 missiles. But if you call in like 5 planes at once, it's very possible that each missile thing will pick a different target. Or even that a missile battery will pick a different plane for its second shot. So that each of your planes might take a missile, but none of them will actually get killed. So it's especially pretty helpful with cheap planes that don't have any sort of ECM. Because if you have a plane with no ECM, if it flies into even like 1 or 2 enemy AA things, it's basically automatically dead. But if they fly in a big swarm, then they generally are actually okay. So you see here the brave VDV is still holding the town, but my reservists are just too numerous with their bolt-action rifles. The enemy starts to come over here. I noticed they were killing some of my little trucks here that were transporting more conscripts into the meat grinder. So have my retruders come in here, drop some bombs. Looks like they flew into a little bit too close to this buck here and got toasted. But this was basically my impetus right here to move north. I realized that, well, it looks like I kind of have this town now. My reservists seem to have it pretty locked down. So I need to start exploring other options. So we see up here, these aren't actually 5-point infantry. These are 10-point infantry. But there's 15 of them, and they have a machine gun. So not quite as efficient as the 5-point infantry, but they do have a machine gun, and there's 10 of them, and I think they actually move. No, they still move really slow, but they do a little bit better. I had planned to have my Cobras come here and snipe these T-62s, but this Strela is wise to my plans. It's watching them. Watching my Cobras like a hawk, waiting for them to come over this hill so it can blast them. Now, I had already pretty much decided that, like, I didn't think I could take this zone. I didn't think I could hold it. But my whole thing is that if you always want to be attacking if you can, because basically what that does is it forces the enemy to pay attention to it, and while the enemy is paying attention to it, you know, you can do other stuff. It basically means that you kind of you're always going to have the initiative because they have to keep reacting to your attack. Now, obviously, in a lot of game types, that's not very useful. So they have 70% here. Because if you're playing destruction, you know, if you're always attacking, then you know you can lose all of your points and get all of your units killed. But in Conquest, yeah, I don't think there's any reason to ever not be attacking because if you aren't attacking, it gives the enemy plenty of time to come up with all sorts of little plans and schemes and do whatever they want. But if you keep attacking, all they can think about is this gigantic swarm of hundreds of trucks and reservists that are angrily coming towards them, and what they're going to do about it. So you see here, due to my negligence, the enemy has had plenty of times to fortify these areas. But it might actually be fortunate because it allows me time to... It actually probably allowed me to take this center area. If they had funneled all of these reinforcements into here, I might not have taken it. You see here, I'm bombing all these forests because I want to kill their command vehicle. Because I was like, crap. I'm losing really bad. I want to find it. So I managed to spot it, I think, with my recon chopper. And bring in an intruder to drop bombs on it. That's always the problem if you have a command vehicle in a map like this where there's not that much cover. There's only so many places it can be. The thing drops the bombs right as it's dying, and it kills that. Over on this side as well, I knew it was going to have to be somewhere. So there's only so many little bushes that the thing can hide behind. Now, another good thing about this deck is that you get so many recon choppers, because you can get the pre-1975 recon choppers. So you can afford to fly a 40-point recon chopper into a zone, you know, to see if they have a command vehicle somewhere, and if it gets shot down, it's not the end of the world. So you see here, my swarm here, still moving forward, a little bit of roadblock here. Again, this was kind of what I was talking about. While all of my troops are fighting the VDV, all this stuff back here is actually killing them. And that's basically what you want them to do. You want to have kind of like sacrificial units you throw at the enemy while your real stuff does the damage. So here we have some T-55As, which are really crappy tanks, but the problem is against this deck, they're actually pretty formidable. Against my reservists, it doesn't matter if it's a T-55 or a T-80. It's still a tank, and it's still going to murder them. So we have the heavy hog here, shooting grenades at them, trying to help out. So my guys, keep on pushing forward towards this forest. Lot of stuff in this forest. And yeah, here my recon helicopter spots spots their command vehicle. Fortunately for me, all of their AA is out of missiles. So the Aardvark comes in and levels that forest, and now I'm actually in the lead after taking out those two command vehicles. So lots of enemy units coming in here. We have another command vehicle here, which is going to once again tie the game. That's this MiG-31 is just like, I don't even know how many things it's killed. It's hit my Tomcats with so many missiles, but I can never actually manage to pin it off. Half the time I don't even notice that it's there. I just notice that all of my Tomcats are getting shot. Fortunately, partly because the other guy left, I think when somebody leaves, everybody else gets 50% more of every kind of unit. So this deck normally has 4 Tomcats, but I think it had 6 after that guy left. I feel like if it's a 2v2 and one guy leaves, you should get double availability. Because to me, that's only fair, right? You know, there's 2 of you. Now you're 1, so you need twice as many units. But I'm pretty sure it's 50%. Here is their Sead plane here. Trying to snipe out my radar AA. I think it probably manages to kill one there. It's my Tomcats chase it off with their missiles. But again, it's lucky it's going to get out of there. It probably just killed, like, one of these radar things or something. Not the end of the world. You see here, I have so much stuff now, I don't even, like, remember where everything is. So there's all sorts of random vehicles and missile launchers and stuff all over the place. Because I forget that I called that stuff in. Here, the remnants of my reservists here are fighting these Motostrelki. Probably not going to survive, but don't worry. We have reinforcements coming. More reservists to give the good fight there. Unfortunately, though, getting pushed back here. But the problem is the good thing for me, though, is I know they're all in this forest, so it's a pretty excellent bombing target. I mean, again, I never really thought I could take this line, but I knew that if you keep throwing stuff against an enemy, they have to respond to it in some way. And I felt like that gave me a little bit more leeway and distracted them from what I was doing up here. Also down here, all of my light rifles getting out of their trucks, fighting these guys. Light rifles, I've said I really like light rifles. They're a little expensive for this deck because they're 15 points, but the fact that they have those ATGMs really makes them worth it. You can just have them essentially attack a move over open ground, and if any tanks get too close, they get hit by like 7 missiles at a time. So my Cobras here, trying to hit some tanks. They've got the kind of crappy toes, so they're not super good. Oh, that one misses too. Third time's the charm. Come on. There we go. So manages to hit it that time. Shoots up all of his missiles. Fortunately, though, now there is no more troops in this area for me to keep fighting, so I have to keep calling in more guys. This is the MiG-25 is another anti-radar plane. It's not quite as good as the Su-24. But I think you can have more of them per stack. So it's kind of similar to like the Wild Weasel for the Americans. And it flies around, kills all of my radar AA there. The enemy is now at 80%, so things are getting a little hectic here. My light rifles keep pushing forward, fighting these VDV. Their trucks are coming up to give emotional support. So trying to give some emotional support from the driver's seat. Lots of intruders coming in here to drop bombs, take them out so my light rifles can advance upon the enemy. See here these dragon missiles as both of them just fly over those guys' heads. Let's see, come on. There we go. One of them actually did something. What a shock. So you see here, I know the guys, all this stuff in this forest, so I keep dropping bombs on it. Unfortunately, there's no way. This is such a killing field, this road, that I'd be very unlikely I could ever actually get into this forest. But my riflemen are all safely ensconced in this town. And up here, my giant swarm of reservists finally arriving on the scene. But the enemy has lots of angry Marines. So I'm trying to help out with whatever I can, with helicopters, whatever. Drop more bombs on his command vehicle because it got revealed. Now we have quite a large sort of relief force coming in here. So I'm going to be in trouble. But I am finally in the lead again, somehow, as I keep pushing forward. One other advantage light rifles have, I'm just like singing the praise of light rifles, is they actually move at 18 kilometers per hour, which I think every other ATGM team only moves at 13 kilometers per hour. So they're a little bit speedier. And of course, there's more than 2 of them. On the downside, they're the worst ATGM in the game, but you know, you gotta take the ups with the downs here. As these dragons just like streak through these woods without hitting anything. So over here, things have stabilized a little bit. I do still have some of these guys coming forward, and I think, have more reservists on the way to attack the enemy, but for now I'm mostly concentrated up here. Lots of enemy Marines here. You see here, I've run through all of my French conscripts. All of the French conscripts are dead. We've had to resort to the West German conscripts. So we've depopulated the entire conscript population of France. Moving on to East Germany. Maybe if this goes on a little bit longer, we'll get to Sweden as well. So you see here, the heavy hog here firing these grenades. Pretty good against infantry and buildings. Does a pretty good job of clearing them out. Pretty brutal crossfire here for my guys. And I end up calling in more aardvark strikes on all of these guys. Unfortunately, cluster bombs do literally nothing to infantry. They only hurt vehicles. So all these Motostroki just got a nice little shower of molten copper, but they're okay. MiG-25 in here, sniping. It was shooting at my helicopters with its infrared missiles. My Tomcats here, trying to chase it off. I hit it once. I don't know if they can kill it though. It's always really dangerous for the plane if it gets stunned while it's in a turn, because it normally will just turn back around towards whatever shot it. But I don't see another missile coming, so it looks like it might actually make it out of there okay. But anyway, we have more stuff coming up here to fight it out. Oh, they finally got it. But the enemy has this town pretty well secured. So that's going to be kind of hard. I actually have right here, this is not a very good ATGM, the Striker, but I have it in this deck because it's pre-1975. It's AP20, which is, I think, higher than any other pre-1975 ATGM. And it carries 10 at a time, so it's not too bad. As a comparison, the version of the TOW you can get is only AP16. So it can't really do anything to higher tier Russian tanks, like for example this T-80B. Of course the swing fire can't hit anything, so it's kind of a moot point how effective it is against vehicles. Tomcat flying a little close to the danger zone here. And this Bucks cannot fire while they're moving. Any units that have the stationary stat on their weapons cannot fire and move. So while it's driving around, my heavy hog just manages to kill it with grenades. I don't think the enemy realized it was there. Over here, I just said screw it, and I moved everything out of the town towards the enemy because I realized he wasn't going to attack me. So I decided I needed to attack them. See here, enemy Tunguskas, which are the long-range anti-fighter or anti-helicopter. Look at all those dragons just flying every direction, but at enemy vehicles. They're just like going everywhere. The Tunguska is meant for fighting long range against helicopters, but this is all infantry, so it's just shooting all of its guns at my stuff. Over here, in the meantime, I managed to clear out the remnants of this. So now I'm ahead in the points. I've secured this area here. We got a couple AA. I like to use the starships more as ATGM carriers than tanks. They're basically like ATGM carriers with 9 armor, so they won't normally instantly die if they get hit by a tank like most ATGMs. So now all of my poor riflemen are out of missiles, but never fear. We have the plucky little tow jeeps coming up here to shoot their toes at stuff. Oh, well, they can hit. They can hit stuff all the way over there. I hear something, shooting something with a gun. More heavy hogs here, shooting grenades. These T-80Bs and all these reinforcements managed to chase my command vehicle out of out of the forest here. But fortunately for it, the enemy crew seem to be pretty bad shots, so they can't seem to hit it. So it's cruising out of there as fast as it can, trying not to get killed by these T-80Bs. The enemy Mingo's over here, like usual, flying around. But it looks like... Oh, finally its luck ran out. It got hit by something and killed out. Probably these two Tomcats here that are top gunning all the way over my lines. Now here are the light riflemen walking out. This is the thing I like to do with light riflemen. You just get a couple squads of them and you just have them attack, move across the field, and see what happens. Because if they run into any sort of vehicle, they'll just kill it eventually after shooting like 17 missiles at it. So my intruders only manages to drop 2 little bombs before it gets killed, as the last of my light riflemen also gets killed. I believe I have more conscripts quickly moving onto the scene, so I don't get pushed back here. Now, I have the control of this zone now, but I think fortunately for me, they don't realize what all I have here. So they do have infantry in these buildings, but I don't think they want to leave the buildings. Because if they leave the buildings, they're obviously going to get murdered by these Cobras and whatever other infantry I have. Especially these heavy hogs as well. So they're staying in the buildings, which is probably smart. Maybe waiting for reinforcements or something. Instead of going after my command vehicle. My Cobra flew a little bit too close there. I really like Cobras as attack helicopters. The problem is with all varieties of them is they only have 6 health and they have no armor. So one sort of decent missile will kill them. Also, if they fly too close to any infantry, they'll just die. Things like Hinds and Apaches don't have that problem because they have armor. So crappy infantry ATGMs won't really do that much to them, and also machine guns won't do that much to them either. Heavy hogs here shooting their grenades. They don't have that many rockets, so they run out pretty quick. Here I have some chieftains moving up. I saw that the enemy, I thought they didn't really have too many ATGMs left, so I thought it was an opportunity to just send in some normal tanks. We have here lots of enemy Seaad coming in here. Fortunately for them, I think I have quite a few Tomcats. Guess I didn't, but they didn't manage to kill that much. So my light riflemen slowly marching in here to get a flanking position. I don't even know if they have any... Oh, they got some missiles left, so they'll be okay. Slowly marching in here. But this area is pretty secure here. Got lots of stuff. Lots of AA and everything. I'm calling in more conscripts to keep up the battle here. I finally called in, I think at this point, some Swedish Bakans. These sort of Swedish automatic artillery. They fire these like 6-round clips, and they fire them very quickly, and they're pretty good. They're one of the high points of any sort of Swedish deck. They're quite accurate. That's not very realistic physics there, but you see, there's only 3 of them. They each fire so many rounds. They each fire, I think, 6 rounds. Yeah, and I had planned to. Yeah, launching some artillery. I'm not sure what I was targeting. Not sure what I thought was over there. But they don't hit anything. But my infantry finally managed to scoot in here. It looks like I'm going to be able to contain this push. So I actually, as you can see, I end up winning this. I think mostly because at the beginning I didn't try and bite off more than I could chew, and I just sort of gradually tried to push people back. And the other thing is I was kind of lucky that neither of the two people I was playing really had decks that were designed to fight like a giant spam deck like mine. So that was kind of luck of the draw. So that was good. Did any of my Tomcats kill? Oh, I didn't leave the thing on. So anyway, I hope that was interesting. If you're trying to play Conquest and you want some ideas for decks and whatever, maybe they'll give you something to go on. I've already made a couple of videos or video on making decks, but I might make a video for making decks in Conquest because you need to kind of make a little bit different decisions on what you're going to take. Because again, it doesn't really matter what you lose, you just need to take ground. So, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.